Because a new Fox poll shows that most Americans agree that government spending is wasteful. We all agree it's inefficient, but 65% are concerned that not enough planning has gone into government spending cuts. I think now it's a great time, in fact, for Americans to revisit JFK Jr.'s "We Choose to Go to the Moon" speech. He gave it at Rice University in September 1962.
We choose to go to the moon in this decade and do the other things, not because they are easy, but because they are hard. Because that goal will serve to organize and measure the best of our energies and skills. Because that challenge is one that we're willing to accept.
Joining me now, Faulkner Focus and outnumbered host Harris Faulkner. Woo! Washington Examiner congressional reporter Samantha-Jo Roth. All right, Doge cuts. Let's start with that. Harris, I mean, okay, listen, we feel bad for anybody that loses their job, but this is taxpayer money. This is our money that's being wasted, and it's nuts.
Yeah, you know what? I think that the problem is that it's been more chainsaw than surgical scalpel. And that the other thing is that people didn't believe that Trump was going to do what he said on the campaign trail. And he's done exactly that. So it's a shock to the system after Biden. Well, everything would be because we're all awake. It's a shock to the system after President Biden to say, oh, this guy's about something. He's taking action. He's going to go do this, and he does it. On the flip side of all of that, all these governors and mayors in these places, these states like West Virginia, right, with Jim Justice, the senior senator there, you got to come up with ideas for your people to work in the workforce that betters your state. They have a lot of energy in West Virginia. That's where Senator Justice and people there are going to say, hey, you're out of work from that. We have some place to put you. It's part of America's future. It's energy.
Samantha-Jo, my point, though, is sometimes we need a chainsaw. Now, anyone who's in the stock market understands this, right? You hire a new CEO, they go in there and they have to use a chainsaw if the company was in trouble. We get that. It's harder to get across in public life, though.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think what we're going to see in the next couple of months, we're going to see that reduction in force, which these agencies are going to follow a proper procedure to lay off a lot of their workers. That is not what we saw before. We saw a lot of these probationary employees who were just, across the board cut. Earlier this week, we saw that, two
You thought it was mean? Did you think it was mean-spirited?
I mean, it doesn't matter whether it's mean-spirited or not. It's just there's proper procedures that need to be going through.
Okay.
And
so we'll do it properly this time. But this also circles us back to this whole notion that make America great again. Because this debate has been going on. And there was a recent poll out of Pew where people said that life was better, 50 years ago, or that it's worse now. And I think some people conflate, Harris, better with easier. In other words, I think the folks who say it was better acknowledge that it might have been harder, but because it was hard, I think they reminisce that it was better.
Well, look, it takes hard work to do what you want to do in life and to reach your highest dreams and to rise. So I look at my past a little bit. I don't live there. Some people live in their past. I don't. And I try to take lessons that will help me rise. All of it takes hard work. You're just going to be doing different things. So, yeah, we have a dishwasher now. We aren't washing all of our dishes by hand in our family. But now you have time to do other things. It doesn't mean you just sit down and wait for life to come to you.
Right.
And my parents raised me and my sister to believe that the more time you have to spend on doing good and doing well, that's a blessing. So if technology makes it easier for you, terrific. But it doesn't mean that you automatically just sit on your hands. And one more thing about Doge. Who promised those people that they were going to have jobs for the rest of your lives? No one.
A lot of times when you get in the government, you think that's an implicit.
You think it.
Right.
But what other part of American job force do you have where it's like, oh, you're going to be here forever?
Right.
You don't have that. What does it take? It takes a work ethic.
There's a new poll on happiness out. Oh. And these polls are funny sometimes, right? Because some of the things they use as their scoring bothers me. But this one of the headlines that Americans under 30 are so miserable that the U.S. just fell into a historic low ranking in the annual World Happiness Poll. So, Samantha-Jo, I got to ask you about this. And a lot of its focus is really on loneliness. And some trace this even back to the Internet and things like that.
Well, the one thing that I think is interesting about this poll is that it was taken in July of 2024. If you remember back then, that is when President Donald Trump faced his assassination attempt. It's also when all of the fallout over that debate with Joe Biden. So I think Americans during that period.
But what about the young folks, your age bracket, though?
You notice he didn't go to me because I'm so far away from 30, I can't even count backwards.
Really, this is not the only time we've seen this, though. What the heck is going on? I mean, a lot of it is traced to loneliness. Like, it's, what's going on?
Well, I think a lot of people are replacing, being with others with technology. And so people need to just hang up, get away from those cell phones, spend more time with people. And I also like to say that, comparison is the thief of joy.
Yeah.
When you compare yourself to others, you are not as fulfilled in your own life. And I always try to tell my friends, family, when they're looking at their life situation, they're comparing themselves to others, that is just a more fulfilling way to look at life.
Yeah, that famous quote is important, right? To live your life that way. I teach my teenage girls that too. It's like, it's okay to look across and give somebody a compliment, but God created you the way you are, and you were specific, and you have a divine assignment. Live it out. You will be happier if you can do that and not try to be somebody else. I would say this generation next, this alpha and then beta, as it's being nicknamed,